The mansion was silent, except for the soft clicking of leather shoes on the marble floor. A wealthy businessman, stern and exhausted after another long day, returned home earlier than usual. As he pushed open the grand white doors, something unusual caught his attention: soft voices coming from his study. He stopped, confused. Who could be in there at this hour? The sounds were strange: Spanish, French, Arabic, Chinese, each word flowing beautifully, like music he didn't understand. His heart skipped a beat. Who was inside his house speaking in so many tongues? He moved quietly down the hall, his briefcase swinging at his side, and when he peered through the crack of the study door, his world seemed to stop. There, in front of his little boy, stood the maid, a woman he had barely noticed before, her face glowing with passion as she taught the child words from different languages. Her voice was steady and full of warmth, her hands moving gracefully as she explained each phrase. The little boy sat on a stool, his eyes shining like stars as he repeated the words with excitement. The businessman froze, unable to move. He had never seen his son so alive, so curious. For years, he had tried to spark that light with expensive toys and top tutors, but nothing had worked. Yet here was his maid, teaching his son like a true educator, with love, patience, and joy. Tears he didn't know he had inside him filled his eyes. That night, he stood outside the room for a long time, just listening. The next day, he couldn't stop thinking about what he had seen. The maid had always been quiet, blending into the background. She came from a humble village, hired only to cook, clean, and take care of his son when he was away. But she carried a secret, one she had never shared. She had once dreamed of becoming a teacher, but poverty forced her to give up her education. Life had handed her a broom instead of a chalkboard, but her heart still held the spark of a teacher. When she saw the boy's curiosity, she couldn't ignore it. She started with simple letters, then moved to words, and soon, entire sentences in different languages. The boy loved it. His laughter filled the house as he learned to say hello in 5 tongues. The maid found joy again through teaching, and the boy found inspiration through her. The businessman began returning home earlier just to listen from the doorway. He watched as the maid clapped proudly whenever the boy got a word right, her eyes full of love. The boy glowed with confidence. The father's heart softened with every passing day. He realized that what his money couldn't buy, warmth, connection, inspiration, this woman had given freely. But then came a test. During a family dinner, one of his relatives noticed the boy speaking French and Arabic and mocked the father, saying, "What kind of man lets his servant teach his child?" How embarrassing! Their laughter stung his pride. For a brief moment he thought of ending the lessons. But then his son looked up at him with bright eyes and said, "Papa, did you know merci means thank you?" At that moment, everything became clear. His relatives couldn't see what he now understood: true education had no rank, and kindness had no class. The next morning, the father walked into the study. The maid stood nervously, expecting to be scolded. But instead, he placed his briefcase aside, smiled softly, and said, "Teach me too." The maid froze, tears filling her eyes. The boy jumped with joy, pulling his father to sit beside him. That day, everything changed. There were no masters or servants, no walls of class or wealth, just 3 hearts learning together. Laughter replaced silence, and lessons turned into moments of love and unity. Weeks passed, and the boy became fluent in 5 languages before his 10th birthday. The father was transformed. He began supporting schools in the maid's village, ensuring that other children like her could chase their dreams. And when the boy stood on stage years later, speaking confidently in 5 languages, he looked at her and said, "Thank you, my second mother." The father wept openly, unashamed. In her humble kindness, he had found something far greater than wealth: the power of love, knowledge, and humanity. So dear viewers, if this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. And before you go, tell us in the comments who was the greatest teacher in your life and what did they teach you? Because sometimes the most powerful lessons come not from classrooms or books, but from the hearts of those who truly care.